Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Coming Up Milhouse. We watched episode 13 of season 5 today. It is called Homer and Apu. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about the episode?
Yeah, so Homer and Apu. You know Homer likes to go to the Quickie Mart, right? You know, sometimes he gets snacks, you know?
And how?
Yeah, well this time he gets a snack that doesn't quite agree with him because it's in the form of meat that is expired.
And open.
And he has to be rushed to the hospital, and he gets kind of roped in by Kent Brockman to do an expose on the Quickie Mart, and it gets Apu fired from the Quickie Mart for selling that meat. But he can't keep a good Apu down, and Homer and him join forces to hopefully get his job back, and we will talk more about that, I'm sure, as we go through all our silly stuff, which starts us off with lines. What's your first line?
Silly customer, you can't hurt a Twinkie. So somebody walks into the Quickie Mart to buy a 29-cent stamp, and it's like $1.47, and somebody wants to pay for $2 of gas, and it's $4 and something, and then the customer gets really angry and goes over and he takes a Twinkie and he twists it and he throws it on the ground and he stomps on it, and it just bounces right back into life. And that was Apu saying, "You can't hurt a Twinkie."
No. You can eat them, but you can't hurt them.
Yes. What about your first line?
Alright, my first line is, Homer, that hat's been with the station for 20 years. It had 1 day to retirement. So, Kent Brockman sends him in with this big novelty hat and this camera that's clearly sticking out of the hat.
Tiny camera that fits inside, yes.
Yeah. And Apu's like, hey, that thing's buzzing. Perhaps you have a bee in your bonnet. Homer freaks out and smashes the hat and runs away. And that's what Kent Brockman tells him. Yes. They had 1 day to retirement, and they got smashed.
20 years. 20 years on service for a hat.
For a hat.
What a gag. I also wrote that one down. It's a good one. I loved it. Okay, and then later in the episode, Marge needs to go to the store and invites Apu to go with her, and he says that he can't go to the Quickie Mart. I can't go there. That's the scene of my spiritual depantsing. So they end up going to a big box mart instead, which has its laughs for sure.
Oh, yeah, good stuff.
What about your favorite scene?
Well, I still got to do my second line.
Oh, your second line,
yeah.
Sorry.
No good. So my second line is when he gets busted on TV, the Quickie Mart brass come in, and they're firing him. And the top dog Quickie Mart guy says, "You can no longer wear this name patch," rips it off. "And you can no longer tell people about our fried pickles," rips that off. "Now, turn in your pricing gun." Apu has to...
Yep.
It's
in his holster here, and then he says, "And now the other one," and he goes for the ankle holster, which, yep, is good.
So the cop parallels with this and the hat you've been on, for 20 years, he was 1 day to retirement. Those jokes are hilarious.
Very hilarious. What about your favorite scene?
So I am going to go with the meeting of the head Quickie Mart headmaster on the top of a mountain in India. So Apu needs some kind of guidance because he wants to get his job back, but he's like, the only way I can do this is to go to the head office, and it's in the middle of India on some mountain. They make this big, long, epic trek with music that sounds like Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes.
They get up there, and there's this yogi who's in charge of it.
The very first Quickie Mart.
Quickie Mart, and he's the head of the Quickie Mart, and so he's like, "You may ask me 3 questions," and Apu's like, "Good, I only need 1," and Homer's like, "Are you really the head of the Quickie Mart?" "Yes." "You?" "Yes." "Really?" "Yes." "Thank you, come again." And then Apu doesn't get to ask his question because Homer ruined him.
Poor Apu. I know.
I love that scene. That's so silly.
I always wondered why only one of them got to ask questions. I mean, it goes for the gag. But
Yeah, it's one question per visit,
per
and they're
visit,
both part
and
of the
they're both
same
part
visit.
of the group. So
That's
I
how
guess that's how
it
it is. It's just silly. Extra silly. I do love that scene too because it's way up on this giant mountain, and the trek up there is difficult. And
Homer's like, this isn't very convenient. No, he's like, do you have to rag on everything we do or something like that? What do you got for scene?
There are some really great scenes in this episode, and I'll share a bonus one after I share mine. So I went with the bums underneath the bridge because he's having a bad day. I'll just mention my other scene. So they sing a song, which is definitely a highlight of this episode. And then after his song, he's walking around town and he hears this babbling brook and he thinks that it's laughing at him. In reality, there are two bums underneath the bridge and they're tickling each other with feathers. And I love it. I think it's the best thing ever. And they say, who needs money when we've got feathers? And they're like tickling each other under their chins and just laughing. And Apu goes to the zoo and the monkeys are laughing at him. And then he ends up on Evergreen Terrace and Homer's laughing at like Arsenio Hall or something on late night TV. And he's laughing, so Apu feels like everybody's laughing at him. So I guess that happened before the song, but it leads into that song when he's hanging out at the house,
and that is a very rousing, fun song. And Homer can't rhyme with Quickie.
No. Who needs the Quickie mark? So
YouTube it. It's a good song.
It is a good song. If you don't feel like watching the whole episode, just YouTube the Apu Quickie Mart song, and
it'll brighten your day.
It's a catchy tune. And what about you?
Which one you want me to do, winner or loser? Oh wait, I did my scene, so it's winners and losers now.
Let's go with your winner.
My winner is Homer, because when Apu comes to pay off his debts to Homer, because he comes around and realizes that Homer actually did him a favor by making him be a better person or whatever. Yeah, so he comes around, he's doing chores and stuff, and he cooks dinner and he cooks vegetables, and Homer says, "These vegetables are really clearing the cholesterol out of the old heart." Now, of course, the cholesterol goes from the heart to his brain, and he says, "Apu, friend, me good." But, he got him out of the heart from the veggies, so that was why he won this episode.
Good plan.
Who you got?
My winner was Jimbo, because he has a scene with good old James Woods. Actor James Woods appears in this episode, and James Woods asked Jimbo for advice about his acting as a Quickie Mart employee, and Jimbo is pretty intelligent and aware of the world of acting to give his advice, so I went with Jimbo.
Yeah, he really had some insight there. You gotta lose yourself in the moment, man.
It's pretty good. And Jimbo got to be by himself in that scene. He didn't have his bully cronies next to him, and it's pretty good. What about your loser?
I got a feeling we might be on the same page on this one, so if I took your loser, I apologize.
Okay.
But my loser is Barney, because they go to this big box store, and Barney goes up to this giant bottle of Mrs. Butterworth syrup, and he thinks it's a real lady. And asks it a question, accidentally knocks it over, and it's leaking syrup all over the floor, and he thinks he killed a lady. And he's like, "I killed her, I'm sorry."
It's happened again.
It happened again. So he has done this before, and it leads to an avalanche of cranberry juice all over the place. So I went with Marty. That was definitely a good one.
Well, that was exactly who I had down, but I will go with the pimply kid who happens to be in the same scene, because the teenage acne-ridden kid gets swept up in the wave of cranberry juice, and he starts kind of gagging because he's choking, and he's fine, by the way, spoilers. And he says, "This is crantastic." But yes, I went with Barney for my initial loser.
I heard you laugh at that, and I was like, she's probably going to pick this, but I'm going to pick it because I love it.
I mean, naturally, we could have gone with Apu because it was,
That's
to
too
his
easy.
demise, but it was way too easy. And you know me, I always like to try and pick one that's not as obvious. So, good choices.
Good choices.
Feel free to give this episode a like. We watched it on Disney Plus today. It's season 5, episode 13. It's also available on Hulu. You can watch it on DVD. You can borrow that DVD from your local library if you feel inclined to do so. And feel free to share your likes, your comments. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And thank you for watching Coming Up Milhouse. Until next time,
Jiminy Jokers!